When I was driving to work this morning, I was listening to another radio station, as we broadcasters sometimes do. What I heard shocked and saddened me.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They're here, nerds.
Wait, is this the group that goes around mutilating squirrels?
You just mind your P's and Q's, Buster, and remember who you're dealing with.
Well, at least we found them.
Fortuitous, Captain. And now that we have them all together,
you can't make an omelet without breaking some eggs.
The Entertainment Roundtable.
They make one person go, blah, 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 and the other person go, what are you talking about? And then one person goes, blah, 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 blah.
Well, good morning to you. Welcome into the weekend here. Superstation 101 WIDE as we kick off the weekend with the Entertainment Roundtable and a full house here. And I'm going to say this right off the bat. I've totally blanked on your name, and I cannot figure out why.
Chris.
God, I was thinking Cody, Corey. I was in the right area with the first letter, but I stink at remembering names.
I'm the same way, so I do not blame you at all.
All right, so Chris is in here with Josh. You're becoming a regular, by the way, Chris.
Hey, glad to be here.
Absolutely.
Always
Glad to have you.
back.
You're almost becoming a regular, too.
And I was like, yeah, we're about the same.
Yeah, welcome back. Josh here. Jeff, good morning to you, sir.
Hey, Stuart.
What's happening? And David's over here getting ready to speak. We got Ryan and Jacob on the phone. We had the chance to go check out a movie on Thursday night. We'll be talking to you about that here in just a couple of moments. Ryan, how are you?
I'm doing well, sir, and happy 30th anniversary to The Never-Ending Story, one of the best films ever made.
Wow, that's true, too. I had not realized it was 30 years ago.
Yep, 1984, brother.
A little kid riding along on a big puppy dog.
Atreyu!
Did you have the chance to see a movie? I know you were planning on trying to check out Hercules. Did you have the chance to do that last night, or is that on the schedule for this weekend, Ryan?
I'm going to try to see it this weekend, and if not, maybe next weekend. Make a double feature with Guardians.
There you go, because that is must-see right there. Top 10 films of this week, and stop me if you have seen it but have not been able to review it before. Maleficent in at number 10, Earth to Echo at number 9, How to Train Your Dragon 2 in at number 8, 22 Jump Street at number 7, Tammy's number 6. Your top 5, Transformers, Age of Extinction, another 9.8 million, 227 there. Sex Tape debuts to $14.6 million.
Not so good.
No, not so good?
I don't think so.
Is that kind of the consensus? 14.6 million, fourth place debut, not that good?
It's pretty bad.
Yeah.
When you are under a movie that probably should have been a straight to DVD movie in sales, that says something.
That's a fair point. Referencing Planes, Fire and Rescue, debuting at number 3 with $17.5 million.
Which is also way underperforming for what they projected.
Well, but this is Planes. This was Pixar's kind of throw-off from Cars, and Disney decided that they weren't going to go to Pixar with this. They were just going to go the straight animated route.
Yeah.
I mean, Planes didn't make money when it debuted, what was it, last year?
Yeah, it was just last year.
Made enough for them to make a sequel.
As I predicted, my nephew, 5 years old, loved it.
So you went to go see it?
No, my brother took
Just your brother took.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
My guess is they had a sequel already.
Well, that's pretty typical
halfway
Disney,
done
though.
because they figured it would be a big hit, and then they just needed to get it out somewhere.
But what disappointing me about this, and I won't get on a rant about animation and slow the show down.
Oh, please do.
Is that Disney's animation is actually turning around. Disney animation, not Pixar. Disney animation itself. When you see movies like Frozen, Tangled, Wreck-It Ralph, these are like surprisingly good films from Disney. And then I feel like Planes and Planes 2 is just like that. Right back to why we hate them.
Correct me if I'm wrong, though. Wasn't Planes, the first one, not this one, but the one before last year, wasn't that supposed to be straight to DVD? And all of a sudden, last second, they changed their mind and put it out in the theaters?
Exactly. Because of the success, I think, of Cars.
That should tell you where it should go.
Yep.
Up to number 2, The Purge, Anarchy, $29.8 million. Surprised by that amount? Disappointed by the amount? What?
I think that it's a little disappointing, but they didn't spend that much on it.
I'll be real honest with you. That's more money than I thought it was going to make after watching the film.
It's doing less than the first one did, but the first one, I think audiences were a little disappointed after they actually watched it. I think the build-up was more what paid off. But I think it's a little bit below, but still they're going to be they're profitable out the door.
I mean,
they don't have any.
Aren't they?
They don't have. Yeah, they don't have any huge actors.
Yeah, because it wasn't a very big budget.
No.
There you go.
First one was super profitable. They spent $3 million on it, and it made like
Which
like
means
50?
they've made enough to make like 3 more terrible sequels.
Yeah, probably right.
Probably.
And that brings us to number 1, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, holding it for the second week in a row, $36.3 million, $139.2 million overall for that. Coming out this week, if you choose to go see, you can choose from the movies And So It Goes. It stars Michael Douglas, Diane Keaton. It's about a self-centered man thrust into being a caretaker as his estranged son drops off the granddaughter he never knew that he had at his home, so he needs to get help from people like his neighbor.
I can't wait.
It sounds really
Surprise
thrilling.
hit of the summer.
Yeah, well, I think it'll make some money, and it'll be probably a date film, but I don't know as it's going to go real far, truth be told.
As bad as the movies have been this summer, that might be a good movie.
You might be right.
That's true.
There is a comedy concert film which is featuring the comedian Gabriel Fluffy Iglesias. It's called Fluffy Movie. Hercules. It stars Dwayne Johnson, John Hurt, Ian McShane, Joseph Fiennes, and others. The latest telling of the Greek demigod and some of the tests that he has to go through. And again, that's on Ryan's checklist. I might at some point in time check it out. The more I saw the previews, though, and I'm speaking for myself only, gentlemen, so speak up. The more I saw the previews, the less I was impressed by it.
It looks real dumb.
Mm-hmm.
That's
I agree.
2. That's 3.
Hercules.
I felt like they were like, hey, let's get a lot of good actors and throw them into the worst thing we could think of.
We're going to saddle him with, what's his name? Help me out here. The director.
Oh,
I thought you were going to say The Rock.
X-Men. X-Men Part 3.
Singer?
Oh,
no,
Ratner?
not Singer.
Ratner.
Ratner?
Yeah.
Ratner did this?
Yeah, dude.
Okay. And
I
then
know, it's like a Rush Hour wannabe, I know.
It just tells you how much I cared about the movie to begin with. I had no idea who directed it.
I didn't
I
either.
know who directs everything.
Dude, strong. He's got like a lion hat.
Ugh.
Because he's strong.
Yeah.
It's Dwayne The Rock Johnson, and Dwayne will probably do the best that he can do with fairly weak material, but I'm just, again, I think it's weak material. I'm not impressed with it at all. And a movie that I wanted to be impressed with is the 4th one, which a lot of us went to go see Thursday night. Scarlett Johansson, Morgan Freeman, others. Woman forced to smuggle a substance in her stomach lining. It all goes wrong when the bag leaks, transforms the woman's abilities. It begins to seek revenge. It is called Lucy. Jacob, since you're on the phone, why don't we start with you, and then we'll move around the table and see where we go.
All right, well, so for me, the plot of this movie is Scarlett Johansson accidentally takes a drug that makes her a bad actress, and Morgan Freeman talks about brains for a while, and that's the entire plot of the movie.
Okay.
It was just, the plot is terrible. There's no tension in the plot after she gets injected with the drug, and she just becomes omnipotent, and it was like, hey, let's create an omnipotent character, and then the writers were like, well, what do we do with her after that? And they were like, I don't know, let's just end the movie. And that was it. That's it. That's the end of the movie. There's just nothing. It's just so terrible. It's a movie that makes me want to climb to the highest mountaintop and shout to the world about how bad it is. Like I'm angry for having watched it.
Probably more effort than I'm willing to go.
Yeah, really. All right, Jacob.
I'm changing from my thoughts last night after the night was over.
Yeah.
It's the worst movie of the year.
Oh,
wow.
Smacked it under Pompeii. Ultimate rating, which I remember you and I both were pretty equal at giving Pompeii a 2.
It's a -1 for me.
That's
Oh!
Okay.
That's fair.
Even for Black Widow?
People need to be paid to see this.
That's hilarious.
For the time spent.
All right, let's go from Jacob to Jeff. Yeah, I'm sorry, Jeff.
I refuse. I'm going last. I refuse.
You want to go last?
I'm going last.
You're going
last. I will
last.
not be attacked for the next 4 times.
All right, here we go. David, you're up.
Oh, okay. So I was almost late to the show because I watched this movie, went home, went to bed.
Yeah.
Then I got up and went to Home Depot and bought a sandwich board, and for the next few hours walked around town with a sign that said, "We are doomed. The end is nigh." Humanity is over. Somewhere between Citizen Kane and the Avengers, I think, we hit our apex, and I'm not sure where, but it's just a steady decline. They're not even using, outdated science. This is purely fictional science and has been for like 100 years
Yeah,
for the
I read
premise
about that.
of this movie. Oh my God, it's just the worst thing I've ever seen in a lot of ways.
Ultimate rating.
I'm going to give it a 2 out of 10 because the special effects were nice, but That was it. That was all they had.
All right, so we got a -1 and a 2. Chris, where do you fall on Lucy?
I think.
Pardon the pun.
I'll give it. I'll say 1.
I'm gonna give it a 1
because it's just a movie. You know, you go see it and it happens, and then it's over, and you leave and you say, "I hope I don't see something else like that." And I don't know. It was just like I told you guys last night. I felt like it was for such a far-reaching idea. It was a very small-minded movie. It was just like. It just fell so far short of, I don't know, like they said, there was no plot. The characters were completely one-dimensional. You know, she calls her mom in the beginning, cries a little bit, and then from that point on, it's just sort of like, okay, now we're just watching this happen.
Well, it's a little bit of the Superman problem. Like, what do you do with this character now?
Exactly. She's invincible. And
Josh.
Then, yeah.
I love Lucy, just not this Lucy. I thought it was very poorly done. I was looking forward to it, but I was very disappointed.
It was pretty.
There was really no character arc to these characters. There was no backstory. There's a girl, she's thrown into this situation, and we experience it with her, and it's over. We don't know who she is, why she's doing anything, and I'm always disengaged when that happens. So I give it a 1 out of 10.
I was honestly hoping for at least some well-placed, well-hung lanterns, but not even that. Just like, nope.
None.
This is what we've got.
I would say that Transcendence was like 3 times better.
Which says a lot because we all royally panned that one.
We did.
All right, that brings it to me since Jeff is going to go last. So far, echoing everything. Very little to no plot. I mean, we found the idea that she is going to be used as a smuggler. But we don't understand why in the world this American girl is, for whatever reason, in Taiwan. That's not explained. Haven't figured it out. I think maybe she was a student, but I'm not 100% certain of that. We don't know what she was studying. We have no idea why she was there. As we went along, once she's injected, quote unquote, with the drug, she does this really, really poor imitation of Brent Spiner doing Data on Star Trek The Next Generation. And it didn't come out very well. You have to try to figure out a way to suspend any kind of belief that anybody here is competent, because once she gets out of Taiwan and goes to Europe, well, let's stay in Taiwan, because there's a hospital scene where she just casually strolls on into the hospital carrying a firearm, which nobody saw, apparently, which really freaks me out a little bit. Then we go to Europe. She gets a hold of some police officer, and I don't know of any police officer that would buy anything that this woman's doing. Then you see several police officers pulling up to a building at one point in the film where this gang of the people that are trying to make the drug and get it distributed are pulling out. Apparently, they took every piece of weaponry from the French Foreign Legion, and they're pulling it all out, and they're dressing themselves like Rambo, effectively, but when the cops drive up, they run into the building and don't pay any attention to these people at all. So there's a lot of cases where you're going, I don't get it. Here's the odd thing. Came out of the film and thought to myself, that's a horrible movie, but I actually kind of had a little bit of fun. I give it a 3.25. 3.25. The friend of mine who came with me summed it up in one way. Once we saw who the director of this was, Luc Besson. He said what they needed to do was they needed to take the name Lucy. They needed to move the Y over to the side a little bit so that the title was Luke Y? ? Jeff, it's to you.
It is, isn't it? Yes, this movie is dumb as a sack of hammers. But I kind of loved it. I mean, I knew going in that it was a Luc Besson joint, so it was going to be insane. Hey, you're starting, like you said, from science that isn't real in the real world. We use more than 10% of our brain. We've known that for decades, if not centuries.
Mm-hmm.
So starting from that, I was along for the ride. In the first 3 minutes, you knew what you're in for, from the point where her boyfriend's trying to talk her into going in to deliver the case, and it cuts to like all these predators stalking prey and stuff. You know, it's a bit on the nose, so I was like, okay, here's what we got. Let's buckle up and go with it. This movie was like that crazy lady who lives in your building that makes charm bracelets out of dried SpaghettiOs and tattoos on her goldfish. I mean, she's totally insane, but she's kind of endearing. So, I mean, honestly, it's a 4 movie, but I give it like a 6 because it was Besson, and I was along for the ride. It's like the Milan fashion show of movies.
It was a guilty pleasure for you.
Right. It feels like I mean, no one in this film thought that they were making a serious sci-fi. I get the feeling that Luc Besson double dared everyone to be in this movie, and they were like, okay.
See, that was one of my problems, is that I felt like he thought they were taking it way too seriously.
No.
Yeah, I actually agree with him. I felt like he thought he had something amazing here.
Here's the average rating of the 6 of us that have given this. The total was a 10 out of 6. So when you divide that 10 by 6, that gives you less than 2 for a congregated or an aggregate rating.
Yeah, I mean, you'll have a good time. Don't turn your brain off to see it. Totally engage it
No,
on its
turn your
stupid
brain
level.
off to see it.
You've got to sit there and appreciate the absurdity of what you're watching, and you'll have a blast.
The fun of the movie is actually just tearing it apart in your own mind.
I was just like, what are they going to do now? Okay. Yeah, but you're right. As soon as she gets these powers, she ought to be able to take care of everything. But it's just cooler to see her levitate people and, make everyone fall asleep all
Basically,
at once.
it's as dumb as Transcendence, but it's a little more fun.
It was more fun than Transcendence, I think.
I enjoyed it more than Transcendence, but then again, this was just kind of campy to me, and I can see this becoming a cult favorite at some point in time. It's just going to take about 20 years. I think.
It won't take that long.
I don't think it's going to be a cult classic at all.
Yeah,
I think it will.
Well, The Fifth Element is, so.
Yeah, exactly.
I like
I
that.
think no
Jacob.
one will remember this movie in 6 months.
Eminently forgettable.
I will.
Yeah.
It'll be on rotation in my house.
It'll be in his collection.
I'm going to show it to all my friends. I'm going to make them watch it. They're going to watch it.
All right.
They may hate
He'll
it.
go down as the Guinness Book of World Records as the only person to own that movie on DVD.
I bet he doesn't.
This thing's going to make bank this weekend. You watch.
I think it will make more than Hercules.
He's hoping that it makes bank because
It
this
will.
is his 5th
No, I
pick.
think it will do well.
Out in limited release, by the way, if you're interested, you might have to do a little searching to find it, but you could maybe find Magic in the Moonlight. It stars Emma Stone, Colin Firth. There's a movie called A Most Wanted Man, stars Philip Seymour Hoffman in one of his final starring roles. Very Good Girl stars Dakota Fanning, Elizabeth Olsen, and Demi Moore. A film called, strangely enough for this time of year, Happy Christmas. And a film called My Man is a Loser, which stars John Stamos and Michael Rappaport.
John Stamos.
In theaters next week, Guardians of the Galaxy.
We're ready.
And is there anything else, really? I know there's the biopic of Get On Up of James Brown, but really?
By the way,
whatever.
I'd just like to say, I think we should change the opening of this show to just that sound clip of him whispering, John Stamos.
Sounds like a plan for you,
Need
David.
some
We
percentages
will
off
come
that.
back here on the other side and talk about some movie news, and among them will be conversation about Guardians of the Galaxy.
They do all their own stunts. The Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
As we come back here to the Entertainment Roundtable, as we usually do, pick a song off of a soundtrack of a film just coming out or out in theaters right now. This is Beck. It's the song Back to You. It's off the Lucy soundtrack.
Best part of the movie.
They played an instrumental version of it in the film. It's not got the singing part, but I couldn't find the instrumental version, so I left with this one. All right,
This
first.
makes me sad for Beck.
Yeah, trust me, he'll make some money. He got his money out of that, so don't worry about it. Marvel is making news ahead of Guardians of the Galaxy coming out next week. Looking ahead, Marvel's Avengers Age of Ultron director Joss Whedon has been talking. Jacob, anything good there regarding the twins that we were introduced into Captain America, Winter Soldier, Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch? He's kind of talking about them, isn't he?
Yeah, not a whole lot. Not a whole lot released, but we do know that they're going to at least start on Team Ultron, and they're going to probably be villains in the beginning. Now, I mean, they haven't said that they will, cross over and become good guys, but, you would assume with the characters and the backstories of the characters, you would assume that they would eventually, cross over and help the Avengers out. But they're going to kind of play off each other, where Quicksilver is going to be hot-headed and easy to anger. Scarlet Witch is going to be a little more calm and more serene. So it's going to be interesting.
Okay. Let's look at it from another angle as well. When it comes to Guardians, obviously they're touting up the fact that this is made by Marvel, the people that brought you Thor and Iron Man and Captain America and the Avengers film. Are they going to try and weave this group into the Avengers?
They haven't. You're talking about Guardians of the Galaxy?
Yeah.
They haven't said officially that that's what they're going to do. Kevin Feige was talking about it the other day, and he said basically he came at it with you can neither confirm nor deny. It could happen, but they're not going to. They haven't said it is or it is not.
Okay.
They're also talking about Avengers X-Men crossover, and again, it also has a. It could happen. It might not happen.
And one would assume that there's a sequel being talked about, right?
Yes. Well, there's definitely talks of it. James Gunn is definitely wanting to come back. He says he feels very connected to the characters, and he wants to be the one to direct the second movie.
He feels connected to money.
Well, yeah,
and chances are this is going to make bank. Here's the
Right.
question, though, and this will kind of tie in because we've
Yeah.
got a roundtable topic that we're going to try and get to here. That's why we're kind of moving things along fairly quickly. Josh, you've got a story about Guardians dealing with whether or not this can kind of save or whether it'll torpedo the summer.
Yeah, that's kind of the big talk, and Guardians of the Galaxy save the summer. And it's Marvel, so there's a lot, and it's doing really well as far as online tracking goes. It seems like there's been just kind of a swell of this audience that's coming out for it. I think it's going to do great. I think a lot of people that predict these things are thinking it's going to do well. I don't think that it's going to do the kind of gangbuster numbers that you'd see from the Avengers characters most, but I think it will do really, really solid. And is it the savior to the summer? I'm not sure, but is it going to do really well? Do really, really, really well in the box office for what it is? Yeah, I think so.
Well, we're going to get back to that and kind of get an idea of exactly how bad, quote unquote, the box office is this year, especially compared to last year when you had movies that were making $400, $500, $600 million. Let's go one more story, Jacob, with Marvel, and they have released their schedule of movies through 2019. Have we found out anything, or they're just saying these are the release dates and they haven't attached titles to it?
Mostly release dates, although they haven't attached some titles. We've got, just to quickly run down, May 1st, 2015, you've got Age of Ultron. July 17th, 2015, Ant-Man. May 6th, 2016, Captain America 3. Variety is saying that I've seen multiple reports where this is an untitled thing, but July 8th of 2016 is Doctor Strange. May 5th, July 27th, November 3rd of 2017 are all untitled movies. You've got a May, July, November release in 2018 that are all untitled, and then another untitled in 2019.
Does it get to the point, and this is open for everybody, does it get to the point where Marvel oversaturates and people just get sick and tired of it?
I was actually talking with Andy Irwin, one of the directors I worked with today, and we were talking about, is there going to be a superhero bubble?
Mm-hmm.
It seems like after Lord of the Rings, there was tons of fantasy films and that kind of burst. So I do believe at some point there could be a bubble, but I feel like Guardians is actually a way of them kind of diversifying, trying something different than the standard model that they follow. So maybe that will be the test. I think a lot rides on Guardians.
I think that Guardians has that sort of quality of the summer blockbuster, sort of like Marvel-esque theme that will get a lot of people in it just for the action and the adventure of it. But then I think it has I was talking to one of my friends, and he was saying how it has kind of almost a vibe like the Firefly series by Joss Whedon.
Oh, we'll get back to that in a minute.
And so I really think that it seems to have a bit more of that like artistic standpoint.
Yeah.
If you look at the Marvel movies they've done so far, they've already hit so many different strides in terms of tone. Like when you look at Iron Man 3, that was almost a buddy cop film in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
Shane Black was a great choice, regardless of what you think of the movie. Captain America 2 had a completely different feel than Avengers did. So as long as they keep making really good movies that stay within universe and change up tone, will be good.
Yeah, I'm kind of. It's my idea that as long as Marvel keeps making up movies, even if there's a superhero bubble, the Marvel brand I think might be largely immune to that because people will start as long as they associate a good time with Marvel, I think they'll be fine.
Right, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, Marvel's been on a roll pretty much since day one. Yeah, they've made some mistakes here and there, but for the most part, they've been on the right track this whole flipping time. So, is a lot riding on Guardians? Oh, yeah. But I think they can do it. So let's see what happens next weekend, because next weekend is really going to tell the tale.
You agree, Jacob?
I mean, I do. I agree for the most part. I mean, I think there is a superhero bubble coming, but it's not for a long time.
Okay. Speaking of superheroes, to DC. They're playing for their superheroes, and apparently The Rock may have a role in that universe. What's that role, possibly?
Well, he was being interviewed recently, and he threw out some hints, and I'm going to read off these hints, and like I said, they haven't. This isn't official. This is just his hints. He says the announcement is coming soon, that his character will have the power of Superman. They say he's not the Green Lantern because there's already a version of the Green Lantern. They say he can throw down, and the last clue, the last hint is the one that probably is the most telling. It says, just say the word. And if you know anything about DC characters, there is one DC character that has all of the same powers as Superman called Captain Marvel, or as they're currently calling him in the DC universe, Shazam. And
Shazam.
So his basic thing is it's a kid named Billy Batson who, when he says the word Shazam, he turns into a superhero, adult-sized superhero called Shazam. So
I remember a very campy TV show, late 70s, early 80s, somewhere in that area. Hopefully they'll take it a little bit more seriously than that.
Well, you know, this is the current DC cinematic universe, so instead of Shazam, it'll be Sad Zam. And he'll just walk around looking sad all day. Like, I can't believe I'm an adult now. I can't believe Superman had my powers first.
Jealousy. Let's see. Let's move away from superheroes here a little bit. Jake Gyllenhaal as a character in a movie called Nightcrawler. We're not talking about the Nightcrawler from X-Men fame. What's the story behind this, Ryan?
Yes, sir. Jake Gyllenhaal is going to take on the role of Louis Bloom, an unsettling young man. He's grown increasingly desperate to get his foot on the career ladder. He goes the media route. He thinks it's the field that is best suited to him, so he goes down to L.A. Cedar Street to try to break the biggest stories that are out there. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on October the 17th.
I saw the preview for it. It looks interesting.
It's odd.
Well, yeah, it's kind of what I would expect out of Jake Gyllenhaal now, though. It's kind of the where he's going, but this one kind of intrigues me. I'm interested.
Oh, me too.
I might have to check it out.
I saw a still from it, and he wasn't blue, so I moved on.
And it only had 2 legs.
Yeah, exactly. We talked a bit of Power Rangers last week. Jacob Robert Ortsey apparently wants to keep the movie top of mind, so he's already giving us an update about.
Yeah, just some quick things about it. He's saying it's not going to be his words is just a leave it behind reboot. And that the creators care a lot about it, and so he wants it to kind of be something that would be memorable, I guess. And he also says that it's going to have a continuity within the Power Rangers universe. So he says he can't tell you what, but it does have continuity.
Let me guess, the White Ranger goes back in time and makes an alternate reality.
Yeah, maybe.
Who knows?
That'd be awesome.
The young White Ranger meets old White Ranger at a cave.
Yeah.
Hey, that could work. Well, talk about altering universes. How about Star Trek and David? The universe is envisioned by J.J. Abrams, at least in one form. They're going to try and combine the Kirk, Spock, Bones cast with the Next Generation. How are they going to try and do this, and with who?
Well, what they've done is, since 2011, they've had an ongoing comic book series with IDW Comics. They've gone over certain episodes of the original series and reimagined them, and now we're getting to a point where they've introduced Q, and we start with, in the Next Generation timeline, where Q was talking to Picard and telling him, by the way, Spock's not dead. He's in this alternate reality. You should have seen what they did with Khan. Oh my gosh, this is crazy. So he's like, this alternate reality is doomed, though, so I'm going to go interfere in that. And apparently he's interacted with the Pine Kento crew, the Abrams verse crew, and he's taken them, I think, to their future Deep Space Nine. But I do recommend this series. It actually does, hang the appropriate lanterns in concerning like any problems you had with the Abrams movies. And it's actually pretty interesting. They're laying in some real groundwork, and they actually did reference some of the comics in the movies. So it is overseen by Roberto Orci, though.
Okay, well. Could be worse.
Go to your comic shop, kids. Man.
Yeah, really. Like him or not, Vin Diesel apparently has a lot of things on his plate. Jacob, what are some of the things that he's got working up? I mean, we're not just going to see him next week in Guardians of the Galaxy.
Yeah, he's got a lot of stuff going on. They're making a sequel to Triple X, which he did not star in the second version of that, but he will be back in the third.
Woo.
A reboot of Kojak. A movie called Hannibal, or maybe that's, I'm trying to read, because I actually didn't look at this.
A reboot of Kojak.
I think it's Hannibal, the
it may be in Hannibal
guy from History.
Oh. The Conqueror?
Hannibal, yes.
Oh, the Conqueror. Okay.
Elephants.
They're going to make it. Why should I be surprised they're going to make a movie out of Kojak?
Yeah,
Who loves you, baby?
And not to mention, I mean, just other, tons of other things. And another one, The Witch Hunter.
Yeah. Apparently they've added a name to the cast on that, by the way.
They have. They've added Michael Caine. We don't know what his role is in it, but we know Michael Caine has been added.
All right.
Oh, I know. He's playing old English guy.
Probably. Might be right.
Some sort of mentor figure, maybe?
Yeah,
probably.
I would
something
assume.
along those lines. Speaking of reboots or prequels or whatever you want to talk about, let's go with The Shining here. And apparently, it's been in the works for some time. For a while, I actually thought it might be shelved. Jacob, you learned there's some news that's apparently moving right along.
Yeah, they have found a director for it now in Mark Romanek.
What has he done?
Let's see. He's also about to do a movie called The Boston Strangler, starring Casey Affleck, and he last directed the Fox Searchlight pick Never Let Me Go.
I forgot about Casey Affleck.
He's awesome.
He's so overshadowed by his brother in his bat suit.
So when you ask what has he done, not really anything.
Not much, okay. Movies based upon video games, really not much of an oddity anymore, but you might be a little surprised about what classic arcade game is being considered for movie treatment. Jacob, you got the story.
Yeah, by the way, if you were thinking about creating a drinking game out of our show, you can drink every time I mispronounce a name. Akiva Goldsman.
And you can take a drink every time I take a snide comment,
Yeah.
so.
Akiva
We'll make it through the
Goldsman-
first segment of the show.
Yeah. Akiva Goldsman is apparently going to develop and produce a Space Invaders movie. Not much is known about what, how or whatever they would even do with something like this, but they're going to turn Space Invaders into a movie.
Why don't we just call this what it eventually is going to turn into be, a re-envisioning of War of the Worlds?
Well, that or, this is just a battle. This is Battleship,
Yeah, which is not necessarily a resounding compliment.
Well, that's the beauty of it. It's got the name brand recognition, but who knows what the plot of Space Invaders was, really? So no one can really get upset. There's no
Kill
fandom.
aliens.
There's no real fandom to be like,
We
they
seem
screwed
to-
up the source material.
We seem to have found out they come in the same formation every time. Rows of 5.
And if we go way over in the corner of the screen, we're safe until they land on us.
Right?
World War II era movies apparently kind of all the rage again in Hollywood. Based on a true story movie about a man by the name of Alan Turing is coming soon. Jacob, it's called Ryan, excuse me. It's called The Imitation Game. What do you know?
Yes, sir. Benedict Cumberbatch takes on that role of Alan Turing, the genius British mathematician, logician, cryptologist, you name it. He did it, led the charge to crack the German Enigma code that helped Allies win World War II. He went on to assist with the development of computers at the University of Manchester after the war was concluded, but was prosecuted by the UK government in the year of 1952 for homosexual acts which the country deemed illegal. It's going to hit theaters everywhere on November the 21st.
And
I'm up for this.
You're up for that?
Oh, dude, the trailer looks great.
Yeah, I saw the trailer. I actually enjoy it. Let's go from there to the Cold War, which happened right after it. Steven Spielberg taking on a thriller in that era. Jacob, what's up here?
Yeah, apparently Amy Ryan and Alan Alda are going to join Tom Hanks in this Cold War movie. Basically, it's the story of James Donovan, who Tom Hanks is going to play. Donovan is the American attorney enlisted by the CIA during the Cold War to negotiate the 1962 release of Francis Gary Powers, the U-2 spy plane pilot who'd been shot down over Russia 2 years earlier.
Okay.
And actually, surprisingly, I read this here, and I was surprised by this. It's the first directing gig from Spielberg since 2011, which was
been a
Lincoln.
while. Yeah, been a while. Biopics, also kind of a big rage right now. This one about a children's book author and a cartoonist, Jacob?
Yeah, Wonderland Sound and Vision is going to adapt Shel Silverstein's, it's not her book, but a book by Lisa Rogak about Shel Silverstein called A Boy Named Shel, The Life and Times of Shel Silverstein. So it will be kind of...
So it'd be pretty straightforward then, probably.
Yeah, just a story about his life.
All right. I found this one interesting because they're going to make a biopic apparently about Tupperware.
Yeah, they're going to make a biopic about a woman named Brownie Wise. She was a marketing exec who turned Tupperware into a household name. Sandra
riveting.
Bullock is on to play Brownie Wise, and I don't know.
The burping of Brownie Wise.
Yeah, pretty much.
Sounds like it'll be a fresh take on biopics in general.
Hopefully this one doesn't get shot and then put on a shelf somewhere.
Yeah, really. One more note here before we take our final break of the show. Plans for a live-action animated mashup of the 1980s TV show Manimal. Jacob, Sony Pictures has tabbed a couple of well-known names to produce. Where are we going?
All right, Will Ferrell and Adam McKay are going to come on and produce Manimal, which, if you don't know anything about it, it's an 80s TV show that was widely panned by critics that was about a guy named Dr. Jonathan Chase, who was a wealthy doctor with a mysterious past who morphed into animals in order to help the police fight crime.
I think, 3 animals maybe? Like a panther,
Something like
a
that.
hawk, and something else?
Didn't we just watch that last night?
I think it has a better plot than what we watched last
Done by
night.
Will Ferrell and Adam McKay, I have very little hope that this is going to be a good film.
I like
Just
Will
saying.
Ferrell.
You know, I thought like 2 months ago, Adam McKay just kept saying, "Oh yeah, I'm going to do dramas now. I'm done with comedy."
I doubt seriously this is going to be much of a drama. Let's put it that way. When we come back, we'll talk about DVDs that are available for you to buy either next Tuesday or in the future, because there are a couple of dates that have been announced. We got some TV news coming up.
Hope you got your popcorn, because we're back to the Entertainment Roundtable on Superstation 101.
You know, in the entire history of the Entertainment Roundtable, I don't think I've ever come back with The Simpsons.
That's awesome.
Now we have broken that. So here we go. We'll get to The Simpsons information a little bit from now. Right now, out on Blu-ray DVD as of Tuesday, you could get the quote-unquote based on the Bible story movie Noah, along with the comedy The Other Woman. For TV series collectors, they ain't a whole lot. You can get set 24 of a series entitled Midsummer Murders. I'm sure it's a British import. And then you can get Twin Peaks: The Entire Mystery, which makes its debut on Blu-ray. If you look hard enough, you could still likely find a theater that is showing the movie Godzilla, but it doesn't seem to matter, Ryan. We know when you can bring it home, right?
Yes, sir, we do. It's going to hit Blu-ray and DVD on September the 16th.
What about the movie X-Men Days of Future Past? That's probably, despite the fact that it would just now fell out of the top 10, it'll probably be on DVD soon, right?
Yes, sir, it will. X-Men Days of Future Past is going to hit Blu-ray on October the 14th. Cannot wait for that one, because that's been the best film we've seen all year thus far.
And then there's the just wrapped up abbreviated season 24, Live Another Day, and they were touting this during the finale Monday a week ago that it was going to be coming soon. They've given us a date.
Yes, sir, they have. 24 Live Another Day is going to hit Blu-ray and DVD on September the 30th.
All right. CW Network kicking off our news as far as television is concerned, and strangely enough, not anything to do with Arrow or The Flash yet. It has to do with their reboot of the show. Whose line is it anyway, Jacob?
Yeah, they've ordered another 24 half-hour episodes of this show, so and they're going to debut in 2015. So,
I know why. It's bringing back your American Idols and your Bachelorettes. It's cheap to produce, and it fills a half an hour of stuff. It's not really all that good.
It brings just enough viewers to
to justify it, I guess.
Right.
Well, let's not disappoint. Let's talk about The Flash, Jacob. They have another actor coming on board, and if you're a fan of the show Prison Break, you know who you at least have an idea in your mind of who it is that we're talking about.
Yeah, I'm at least really excited about this character. Them introducing this character. They're picking up Prison Break star Wentworth Miller to play Captain Cold, who is a known, pretty, I won't say arch villain, but a pretty high up there villain for the Flash, and he will appear in the 4th episode. So
yeah, that's cool. I like Captain Cold.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
I'm interested to see who they're casting for Grodd, though. Can't wait to see that.
They haven't announced it yet. Of
No,
course, I don't even know whether they're really thinking about putting him into the system yet. Are they?
They just said they're going to throw in an Easter egg and then leave it.
Well, and I'm also kind of interested too. I'm also kind of interested in, Captain Cold is the leader of a group, in the DC universe. Captain Cold is the leader of a group called the Rogues, which is basically a lot of the Flash's villains teamed up. It's a Sinister Six kind of thing.
Oh, there you go.
So it kind of makes me wonder, are they going to introduce the other members of the Rogues and then eventually have a,
I'm sure
team?
they're going to work on tying that in, I'm certain, at some point in time, probably to the movie set.
Yeah.
I'd be surprised if they didn't, actually. CBS, Jacob, and one of Ryan's favorite shows, The Good Wife. You got some news there.
Yeah, Stephen Pasquale, or Pascal, or however you pronounce his name.
I'll go Pasquale.
It's coming to the 6th season of The Good Wife. He's going to be in 2 episodes. It's just a guest starring role. He's going to play one of the top campaign managers in the country, who Eli Gold is trying to convince to run Alicia's possible campaign.
All right. Over to the Fox Network, promised you some Simpsons stuff, and found out that they got some pretty big plans for their 26th season. I've lost interest in The Simpsons, but I might have to check this out because apparently one of their signature characters will die in the season premiere. Just to be curious, find out which one. Plans for a crossover episode, actually 2 of them. There are plans for a crossover episode with Family Guy, and it appears that the entire cast of Futurama is going to be reprising all of their roles for a crossover episode, which will air in November. So they're trying some big things over there.
I heard that Bob from Bob's Burgers is going to show up in that episode as well.
Can we kill him? No?
I hope not. It's H. John Benjamin.
You should seriously come back to The Simpsons.
Should I?
It still hits for considering
It is funny.
Okay.
I don't even know how old. I mean, like 25, 30 years old now.
It's 26th season coming
I'll
up.
always be loyal to The Simpsons.
Yeah.
I love The Simpsons.
It still hits.
From animation over to Gotham, the pre-Batman story they're working up. Jacob, you discovered some of their plans for characters that are familiar to the Batman universe.
Yes, I did, and I missed this story, so I've got to go find it.
All right.
Can we skip this one and come back to it?
Yeah, let's talk about the CBS show The Lottery then.
All right, The Lottery. And where did that one go? Son of a...
Does anyone win the lottery?
On very rare occasions, yes.
Too bad it's not us.
Yeah, exactly.
I know. We needed to go to San Diego Comic-Con.
With The Lottery, it's a Lifetime it's a direct Lifetime TV show. The premise of the story is it's a dystopian future where women have stopped having children, threatening the extinction of the human race. I don't really know where The Lottery comes into that, but the Ghostbusters Ernie Hudson has booked a recurring role.
Okay. Tell me when you got the Batman thing.
Yeah, give me like...
All right. Meantime, you know the deal on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. adding to the cast?
Yes, they have added Lucy Lawless. So Xena Warrior Princess will be in an unnamed role in...
So we don't know whether she can be a good person or a bad person?
No, she could be good, she could be bad, we don't know.
And they were saying something about Agent Ward. I read somewhere recently that apparently he's still going to have a role in this, but he's going to continue down the road of being a bad guy now.
So, they should have just killed him.
He's bad. He's a bad guy.
He's a bad guy.
He's a spy.
You need the foil. I like the foil.
He's a horrible person. He's not nice.
He was only interesting when he was evil, so...
There you go.
Right.
I'm okay with him being around.
White bread or interesting?
Yeah, really. FX apparently following the lead of TNT. We reported last week they're renewing a couple of shows. FX renewing a couple of shows too, Jacob?
Yeah, first of all, the critically acclaimed and 18 Emmy-nominated Fargo is getting a second season.
Woohoo!
Which is going to be interesting because they're going back in time again. So it will be before even anything of this happens.
Okay.
And also, the very critically acclaimed Louie is coming back for season 5.
Okay, then.
And I have the Gotham story.
Go for it, then.
So, Gotham, we've gotten 2 more casting, or at least not necessarily casting, but 2 more characters that have been added in Hugo Strange and Harvey Dent, or in other words, Two-Face.
Okay, so they're just continuing to flesh that out. When does that debut again?
September 22nd.
Okay.
I believe in Harvey Dent.
Do you? Two-faced as he is?
Why not?
Disney XD, to no one's surprise, has a Star Wars animated show about to debut. And Jacob, you've seen an extended trailer for something called Star Wars Rebels.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting. It's going to take place in between Episode 3 and Episode 4. They're going to tie in some of the characters from not surprise, but the very much loved Clone Wars animated series, and it looks pretty good. I mean, if you're into animated stuff, it's definitely worth taking a look at.
When will it debut?
I don't know that I have a date for that.
They may not have even announced it. They just got plans for it.
Yeah, at least if I don't have it on me.
A movie that I really liked, 1973, Yul Brynner starred in a movie called Westworld, and HBO wants to reboot this as a show.
Yes, they do. They have a TV pilot that they are making, that they've ordered, and still taking forever to load. Love my computer, by the way. Fantastic.
It's good stuff right there, man.
Yeah, it's going to star Anthony Hopkins and Evan Rachel Wood. If you don't know about Westworld, basically think Terminator in the Wild West.
Yeah, but also in a kind of a Disneyland form. It's actually set up to where people can go take vacations in this.
Right. Yeah.
So yeah, go back and watch the movie. Just deal with it that way.
What was that movie?
Westworld.
Westworld.
Yeah. I'm gonna do one more here, and I'm gonna drop all the way down to David here because I found it interesting. We mentioned Firefly earlier on, and apparently the cast is talking about coming back in some way.
They are coming back to do Firefly Online, which I assume is going to be like Star Trek Online, so hopefully, but better in gameplay, because Star Trek Online was awful. But it's going to be like one of these big sprawling games where you be your own captain, you build your own ship, and you exist in the universe with these people.
So there's still hope for people who love Firefly.
That's kind
There
of
is.
cool. I might have to look at that.
You a big Firefly fan?
I got on really late in the Netflix era, but
Gotcha.
I kind of just, binged and watched all of them in like 2 days. So.
Well, if you watch that show, you can't not fall in love with it.
Oh, I love it.
Well, you can binge watch it in 2 days because it's 14 episodes in a movie.
Oh, I know. Right. Exactly. Well, I actually saw the movie first, like years before, and had no idea that it was associated with Firefly. I know. I was really bummed when I watched the series. I was like, crap, I wish I hadn't seen the movie already.
Real quick before we get to the roundtable topic update on the Fantasy Movie League standings here, and Jeff's still holding the lead.
That's right.
$698.3 million. Josh, you lost second place. I overtook you again. I'm in second now, $562.9. You're in third, $510 million.
The lead was nice for a while.
Yeah. Jacob, you're sitting there in fourth, $465 million. And David and Ryan are looking for help. $288.2 for David, $267.6 for Ryan. David, you got one film yet to come out, and that's The Expendables 3. For Ryan, you've got two more films yet to go, Hercules and Sin City. So, David, a lot looking good for you.
That's okay.
I am the one that already has all 5 of their films out with a total. So, yeah, I'm pretty much dead in the water here.
I think Let's Be Cops is going to make more than $100 million.
Yeah, but you got Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles.
That is true.
So that will probably launch you into second place. Jeff, on the other hand, he's hoping that Lucy does well.
Go see Lucy. It's fantastic.
We'll have to see. Ryan,
5 stars.
Where are you, Jacob? You got.
Sounds like an agenda.
You could actually still make a pretty good jump, despite the fact that Edge of Tomorrow, $97 million, pretty much topped out. Think Like a Man 2 is at 64.2 and fairly topped out. Tammy, in and out of the top 10 pretty quickly, $73.9 million, but he has Guardians of the Galaxy.
Golly.
Make it a Transformers Lucy
launch.
double bill this weekend.
He can still make a launch. There's no doubt about it. All right. You came up with a story online not too long ago talking about box office this year compared to box office last year, and you initially took a little bit of umbrage to it because you thought the box office this year was doing better than what you realized.
Until you look under the hood, sometimes things can seem like they're driving good. Yeah, it's a striking comparison. A lot of articles coming out about the box office being down 20% this summer. And then a lot of, obviously reports about Guardians of the Galaxy kind of being the savior. And once you kind of print out both and look at them, it's actually surprising when you look at both summers, 2014, 2013. Okay. 2014 was one of a record year for the movie business.
Right.
You look at this year, we have 10 films over $100 million.
Okay.
You look at last year, this summer, 19 films over $100 million. It's surprising comparisons.
Right.
And you also had box office smashes like Iron Man that did $400 million domestically.
Right.
The closest we have right now is Transformers at $230 million.
Not going to make 400.
Not going to make 400. And then under that, you have Despicable Me 2 making $368 million, which it brings up another reason that the box office is not doing well. We don't have any strong animated performers.
Yeah, you look at what we got now. You got How to Train Your Dragon 2, which is starting to ebb off now.
Which underperformed.
$160.8 million as of last weekend, and then you had the debut of Planes, Fire and Rescue, and there's really not much more.
No, and last year, you had Monsters University doing $268 million, And then you had Despicable Me doing 300. These are big box office numbers for animation, and you really don't see that in this roundup. So yeah, it looks like it's going to be a tough summer. Let's see if Guardians can lift us out of it.
Guardians is going to have to make
a lot of money.
A lot of I mean, we're thinking like Iron Man money to really, though, bring us anywhere near 2013.
And even then,
and maybe
won't.
not. Yeah.
No.
Ryan, we can find you online. Where, sir?
Yes, you can find me on Facebook at Ryan Matthews, or now I'm on Twitter at RyanRPM5. Let's talk movies, son.
Let's do it. And next week, at least Hercules, right?
Yes, as well as Guardians. I'm going to try.
Looking forward to it. We can also find you online.
Yes, you can find my original comedy sketches and web series at maladjusted.tv.
Continuing to work up to the next Irwin Brothers film.
It should be coming along soon.
All right, looking forward to getting some news there. Jacob, we'll talk to you next week, sir.
I'll be here.
Looking forward to it, and we will all have reviews of Guardians of the Galaxy. Jeff, thank you very much, sir.
You got it, brother.
Enjoy the weekend, and I hope everyone else does as well. And thank you for listening to the Entertainment Roundtable right here on Superstation 101 WYDE.
Oh, Hercules, Hercules, Hercules.